Hey guys, my name is Mozzie, and welcome to our episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming-related questions, and then I'll give my humble opinion on them. To get the formalities out of the way real quick, if you'd like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook or Twitter message. The first question today comes from James, and it is, do you think that Mozzie should be able to pick up his drones? Yes, absolutely. Now, I will say that I think that Mozzie is in a really good spot right now, balance-wise. His win rate and his pick rate are right there in the middle of the road. I think that he adds a really cool new dynamic into Rainbow Six Siege. Like, I think that Ubisoft did a really good job with his character, but I don't think that excuses not giving him some quality of life improvements, and one of them is, as you stated, having the ability to actually pick up his drones. Because you have to spend the majority of the preparation phase just simply looking for drones, because if you don't, Mozzie's gadget is basically useless at that point, you have to make some tough decisions when the match actually begins. Do I reinforce a wall, which is very valuable for defense, but leaves me susceptible to an ash rush that I'm not expecting? When do I place down my barbed wire? And then when I get all of that done, we're like 30 seconds into the match, I then have to move Mozzie into the location on the map where I'm trying to camp out at, and then move my drones on over. Like, the amount of time it takes to actually set up Mozzie is pretty ridiculous compared to everyone else, and I think that Ubisoft could take some steps to try to give him those quality of life improvements, which I think is allowing him to pick up said drones. Now, the only thing I can think of for why Ubisoft hasn't decided to do this is that maybe they think that this would make Mozzie a bit too powerful or similar to Valkyrie. If he was able to pick up the drones, he could then toss them into spots kind of like Valkyrie can, which would muddy the waters between those two characters. You wouldn't have to kind of use the drone's ability to jump to where you want it to be. You could just toss it into that area. And so that could be one reason. The only other thing I can think of is that maybe this is some sort of limitation of the engine that they're using. Maybe defensive operators just can't pick up drones for whatever reason. I honestly don't know. I'm kind of grasping at straws on that one. And so I really just think what it comes down to is that maybe they thought that Mozzie would be a little bit too good or too similar to Valkyrie, and that's why he hasn't gotten this quality of life improvements. In general, though, I think that this is a fantastic idea. I really enjoy Mozzie. I think that he is in a great place right now, but I definitely think that Ubisoft could take some steps to improve his quality of life and just make the preparation phase a little bit more manageable, and this would be a fantastic way of going about it. The next question is, have you seen the new Call of Duty trailer, and what are your thoughts on it? It seems like a lot of people are getting excited about the next Call of Duty, and I can definitely see where they're coming from because I myself am also intrigued. The one thing that I'm really looking forward to is the fact that there's actually going to be a campaign this time around. I know a lot of people were disappointed that there wasn't a single player experience in Black Ops 4, and the fact that it seems like they're going for a more grittier or realistic approach, kind of more back to their roots for this one, has me incredibly excited. From what we've heard so far, and based off of the trailer, it seems like the campaign is going to be a lot more intimate, and there's going to be more nuance and gray area compared to just the black and white of previous campaigns. In past Call of Duties, it's you're the good guy, they're the bad guy, save the world. And while that can make for a really exciting campaign, a lot of times it just gets so overwhelming, it's just so unbelievable that you can't get immersed in the experience. That's one of the reasons why I love the original Modern Warfare, is that it felt like it was a more intimate story. Yes, it got a bit more larger than life halfway through, but it definitely felt more personal, and I'm hoping that is something that they're going to be able to capture with this single player. Another thing that's really exciting is that it looks like they're going to be going cross-platform. If you are on PC, you want to play with your Xbox buddies, it sounds like you're gonna have every ability to do so. The one thing I'm curious to learn about, though, is how are they going to balance this out? I think most people would agree that people on PC, on average, are gonna be more accurate and precise compared to someone using a controller, just simply because they are using a mouse and keyboard. Those accessories allow you that kind of precision, and so if people on PC are always paired with people on console, that might make the overall experience for those console players lessened because of that. You don't want to go against people that have this large advantage every single day, like that's going to ruin your experience. That said, though, if they are able to work around this issue and it works properly, This is going to be amazing for all communities, no matter what platform you're on. Not only because it allows you to play with your friends wherever they're located, but also because now it's a much larger player base. The larger your player base, it comes with a lot of benefits. Queue times get shortened. Those game modes that aren't as popular are actually going to see a healthy amount of people playing them now, and they're going to last longer. One of the things about the PC community for the longest time is that usually those unpopular game modes kind of wither away because it just doesn't have the player base to sustain them. And so if you want to have that experience, it's now going to be a lot more likely that you're going to get into a queue faster, which is going to maintain the health of those communities and just the game overall. This is something that I'm hopeful is the future for all multiplayer games. I really do think that cross-platform is the future, and the fact that Call of Duty is going to have this, I think, is an amazing step in the right direction. And then lastly, it looks like they're finally getting rid of the season pass, and all future map updates, at least to my knowledge, are going to be free for the community. Now, if you think that there isn't going to be any microtransactions in the next Call of Duty, you're kidding yourself, because let's be honest, this is still Activision. They're going to try to make as much money as they possibly can. They are a business at the end of the day. And once again, they are Activision. So if you're expecting no actual microtransactions, you're going to be probably disappointed. But the fact that they are moving in this direction is good news. And so just in general, I'm actually really excited to learn more about the next Call of Duty. We haven't seen any gameplay yet, which is going to be quite telling when that actually comes out. But as long as they're able to deliver a gripping story in the single player and a fun multiplayer, everything else we've heard so far is quite intriguing, but of course, only time will tell. The next question comes from Seb, and it is, do you think the Fuse should be able to place his gadget over holes that Maverick has made? I feel like this would only be a small change, but a buff nonetheless. So in theory, this sounds like it'd be halfway decent. One of the biggest weaknesses of Fuse, obviously, is that if you're going against an objective that doesn't actually have any walls that you can use his gadget on, well, his gadget actually provides absolutely no benefit for the offensive team. And so if you do have a Maverick open up a small little hole, he can use his gadget, maybe disrupt the movement of the defenders, move them around a little bit, or take out the gadgets that are on the other side. That seems like it wouldn't be all that bad. In reality, though, I don't know how useful this would be because I think it'd be countered practically instantly. Fuse, when he's placing his gadget, is quite loud. It's very obvious. Like, if you're just paying attention to your surroundings, you're gonna know that it's there. And while Maverick's gadget is very quiet, so you may not know exactly where it's coming from, if you do know that they're opening up the wall and making holes, as soon as you actually see him place the gadget, it's basically gonna be a free takedown for anyone that's in the vicinity. Now, once again, they do need to be aware of their surroundings, and so Fuse might be able to pull this off every once in a while, especially if he gets tricky about it. But I just think in general, because you're not actually protected by a barrier that they don't know exactly where you are, that this isn't going to have a lot of applications. Another limiting factor is that how in the world do they program this properly? Do they only allow him to be able to place up his gadget on a Maverick hole if they've only made a small hole? Can he do it on larger holes? Like, how would all of that work? I feel like from a programmer standpoint, that would be very difficult to implement. I'm not entirely sure because I'm not a game developer, but I can only imagine that that would be tricky too. And so overall, while I will agree that this would make him more versatile, this could be a buff that Fuse needs to make him more acceptable or viable on a wider variety of objectives. I do like the fact that it adds in more teamwork. I like when that kind of a dynamic is introduced into Rainbow Six Siege, and so that's awesome. I just don't know how useful this would be in the long run. Maybe I'm not looking at it from the right angle. Maybe you guys can see this being much more effective. I just don't know how much of an improvement this would actually be. The next question comes from Ryan, and it is, what do you think about an operator in Rainbow Six Siege that can remove wooden barricades silently, but requires a risky animation that leaves them more vulnerable? So a long time ago, I thought that this could be a cool operator added into Siege. Being able to stealth around the map, open up a barricade without defenders knowing that they're there, and then getting on the objective seemed like it could be an interesting new dynamic. But now that we've had to play against Maverick for a while, I don't know if I'm on board with that idea anymore. Having someone take you out from an angle that you think is protecting you, either from a barricade or a reinforced wall with Maverick's case, and then getting taken out seemingly out of nowhere is incredibly frustrating. And while I don't think it'd be nearly as bad as Maverick, because you're not getting through a reinforced wall and you would have to go through a lengthy animation to get through said barricades, even still, on some objectives, this sounds like a nightmare. Sound is incredibly important in Rainbow Six Siege. If you've tried playing this game without any audio on, you put yourself at a massive disadvantage. Like, it is a night and day difference. And so now that room that you think is defended because all the barricades are up, and then you get taken out because the barricade's now gone and you weren't looking or staring at it the entire time because you thought that they were coming from a different direction, like, that's gonna get old fast. And so a long time ago, I would have agreed with you. I thought this could be a cool addition, but now that we've actually seen Maverick in action, I don't really know if I'm sold. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's episode of Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about what we discussed in today's video. Are you excited about the next Call of Duty? Are you not sold on it? Let me know down below. As always, if you'd like to submit your own question for an upcoming episode, you can also leave a comment or by sending me a Facebook or Twitter message. But until next time, guys, have a good one and take it easy.